Hello and welcome to episode 107 of the Perth to Paisley podcast, a podcast dedicated to Heart of Midlothian Football Club. 2 wins on the spin for the famous Jam Tarts, which has me, Adam Kennedy, delighted, as I'm sure it will Daniel McIver. How are you, Mr. McIver?
I'm doing very well. What a positive week it has been for the fan base, the team, everything. We've still had another 5 injuries, but we've managed to get 2 wins on the spin, which is all I care about. How are you?
I'm great, mate, as only we could. Many a positive coming out of Heart Midlothian Football Club this week. On the park, off the park, everybody moving in the right direction. Yeah, absolutely love to see it. But just want to say before we get into today's episode that McIver and I were amongst those that were invited to the Big Hearts Gala dinner on Friday night. And we're delighted that they've managed to raise £10,000, which is going towards the fantastic work that the club's official charity do and will carry out in 2023. Roman Bednar was there, Davidas Chisnauskas was there, Craig Gordon even gate crashed, and 2 of our players that are currently on the treatment table, Benny Beningame, my Congolese king, and Liam Boyce were also there. McIver, Friday was absolutely smashing, wasn't it?
It was just great. We were at the table with Anthony Brown, of course, author of many Hearts books, Laurie Dunsire and Robert Borthwick and his partner, the Hearts TV duo. And it was just a great laugh. Really
we were so
good
out
night.
Of place, eh?
I know, really professional folk. Then the Perth to Paisley podcast rock up and just love life. Because it was really great. I couldn't believe how funny Chesney was.
Yeah, very good.
Chesney was really funny.
What was it? It was his impression of Robbie Nielsen, was it not?
It was so good.
So funny.
But yeah, of course, the main reason we were all there was for the charity Big Hearts. Incredible work throughout the night. We saw loads of little wee videos and people came up to speak about all the services the Big Hearts provide. Absolutely, genuinely life-saving services in many instances. So yeah, just great to see that amount of money raised. Of course, you can donate to the charity at any point. It doesn't just need to be on something like that. All the links we'll have down in the description, and you can get them on Twitter at Big Hearts and all that stuff.
Well said. They often share it the pod.
Yeah,
I'm actually hoping that we can get some work again with Big Hearts because I love those Talk of the Toon calls.
They were really fun.
I thought they were brilliant. Very good initiative. And before Friday, our penultimate Europa Conference League Thursday saw us take on RFS at Tynecastle, obviously those being Rigas Football at Scola. Robbie Nielsen made 3 changes from the side that was edged out against Celtic Tynecastle. Lawrence Shankland and George Grant came in for injured duo Stephen Humphreys and Cammy Devlin, while Andy Halliday replaced the ineligible Robert Snodgrass. Hearts lined up in a 4-2-3-1, or at least that's what all the people thought, the broadcast media, the papers and all that jazz. Craig Gordon goal, obviously. Back 4 of Michael Smith, Toby Civic, Stephen Kingsley and Alex Cochrane. A midfield trio of Keir Soglu, Andy Halliday and George Grant. Don't know who was at the tip of that. Don't really care.
I think Halliday was, weirdly.
I think he was in game, but it sort of seemed to suggest that George Grant would be. Anyhow, the 3 of them, Josh Chinelli on the right, Barry Mackay on the left, and Lawrence Shankland up front. Now, McIver, you had voiced your concerns on Twitter prior to the match that you hadn't seen Hearts score a goal in the flesh this season when talking about European competition. How confident were you that the 11 chosen could deliver a few for you to savour?
Not at all. And that's nothing against the team or the management. It's to do with me. I was like, I'm here. This will go wrong. We'll inevitably get the worst 0-0.
Oh, it's all about you, isn't it?
It is all about me. In this instance, it very much was. I was like, my luck will be, we'll get a 0-0 draw. It'll be a disaster.
We'll get 1-0.
Yeah, it'll just be a calamity. We'll get another 4 injuries. I was kind of partly right on that front, but I didn't even really, I was honest with myself. I didn't care if we got beat. I would have taken a loss if it meant a goal. I just wanted to celebrate a goal in Europe in Tynecastle. Thankfully, I got both a win and a couple of goals, and a bet came in as well.
Oh, well, I was going to use that as a perfect segue to talk about the match itself, but now you've opened up the floor. Just hit us with your bet. What did you have on?
Well, obviously me and Adam do match predictions for every upcoming game, and I always just stick a couple of pounds on it, just because I'm like, I'm this confident in myself, but not that confident to stick more than a fiver on it ever.
I thought my 3-1 was looking a sure thing. Could I just say with that
yes,
start?
that first 20 minutes.
I actually thought we'd get more than 3, but carry on.
I had Lawrence Shankland anytime and Hearts to win 2-1. So a lovely wee bet. Happily take that every day of the week.
Take returns.
I put like £3 on and got like 50 back or something.
Aye, that's not bad.
So it was all right. Not bad at all.
What's that, about 16s?
Something like that, yeah.
Not bad.
I'll happily but I was the same as you. After that first 20 minutes, I was like, well, this bet's never coming in. We're going to end up winning this 4-0 or something like that. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Well, as you previously alluded to, you didn't have to wait long. The first Hearts goal that Tynecastle has seen in European competition this season. T.O.B.Y wins a header from RFS keeper's kick up the park. He runs down to Andy Halliday, gives it to George Grant. Grant has Josh Ginnelly on his right-hand side, sets him off down the wing. Gino centres for Shankland on the stretch. 1-0 after 3 minutes, McIver, through my hero, my mate, Lawrence Shankland. Bosh.
So at this point, it was 10 goals in 19 games, 4 goals in 2. And just, it's so weird because there was so many things to like about this that I didn't really know where to start. One, it's a fast start that you always speak about. You always love a fast start. You're a big fan of it. You also love a fast start when it's Shankland doing the fast start. It's a really good fit. It's almost identical to the goal that he scored against Celtic from open play.
Yeah.
And the third positivity is that Ginnelly's just like started to be good now consistently, and it's weird. I don't know how to deal with it.
It's like a reborn Ronaldo.
It's like the start of the championship season before he got hurt at Arbroath. So those 2 games in the League Cup and then Dundee at home where he was really good.
I have to say, I've just got to come out and say it. I was literally discussing Josh Ginnelly with a couple of pals. And I don't know why I do this to myself. I always get this little mad theory, this weird notion that just because he's in the last year of his contract, has he thought, oh shit, hold on, I need to turn it on here. I need to try my absolute damnedest to cement a place in the team. You know, Alan Forrest is coming from Livingston during the summer. There's big pressure on, arguably, he and Mackay to start most weeks. So Josh Ginnelly probably thinks, I'd like to earn a little starting berth here. I'd like to keep my Hearts career carrying on for that little bit longer. And listen, in recent weeks, it appears as though he's doing everything to do so.
On the way back, Levine, we were listening to Sports Sound in the car, and Levine made a point. He was mainly speaking about someone else that we'll speak about throughout this game. But he made the point about Ginnelly as well, that this is the first time in a while Gino's got like a run of games. It's not just that he's come in, done all right, went out
as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And listen, I don't know if it's as simple as that. In my estimation, it's probably a combination of he's got confidence, he's taking time out of the team. There could be an element of he knows that we're quite threadbare. So he's like, I kind of need to shoulder some responsibility. I don't know. I'm not really complaining or worried about what the reasons are as long as it continues because...
Listen, COVID.
Yeah, exactly. The 3 days of the year that he doesn't. And we'll speak about his performance against Ross County where he was a bit quieter. But generally, the Ross County performance has often been the best we've had of Gino in recent months, whereas now that's seen recently as, oh, that was a bit of a poorer game, which is a great sign, and I'm absolutely buzzing for him.
What do you mean by that? Just the fact that he turns up in like the lesser games or the
non-important
games are...
Often we look at Gino when he's had a fine performance and go, oh, well, at least he's improved on having a bad game. Whereas now, in the last few weeks, we're looking at the Ross County game going, that's now below his level. Like he's been up at a higher level.
That's just an average performance because he's reached such a level in recent fixtures.
And that's great.
That's what you're saying.
That's what you hope for. And obviously, wingers are inconsistent. We know it. That's the thing about wingers. But Gino seems to have found a bit of consistency, which is great.
And we talked about, the fast start. It actually didn't appear as rosy as I thought it was when I watched back the highlights, because George Grant hooks one off the line from an RFS corner before, I think, Maresh strikes wide for the visitors. I'm going to butcher several names, so I do apologise for the get-go here.
Why do you think you're hosting?
Well, yeah, thanks. I was actually thinking about that. I was thinking, I beg Istanbul have got some really tricky names for next week, but they just won't, will they?
No.
But took the lead on 3 minutes, and just under 10 minutes later, the hosts were 2 to the good. Stephen Kingsley, Andy Halliday, Alex Cochrane, all linking up before it is Cochrane who sends George Grant down the left. He cuts back onto his right foot, finds Andy Halliday lurking on the edge of the area. His effort towards goal takes a nick off. Now let's try this.
A nick.
Takes a big deflection off Vitalis Jagodinskis. And is diverted past Pavel Steinbors.
Yeah.
There you go. To the goods. Come on, the Jambos. Get in there.
So at this point, my dad turned to me and went, "This is the weirdest performance ever because we've done nothing except create goal-scoring opportunities." Like, I felt like we weren't doing anything of merit except create fantastic chances. Like, it never felt like, oh, we're building something slowly but surely from the back and then creating a nice bit of play. It was like, oh, it's a wee bit scrappy, oh, we're in and we've scored. Wee bit scrappy, oh, we're in and we've scored. And it was like, I'm fine with this. If this is the way this game's going to go, absolutely fine. I love how Halliday just didn't, he did his celebration, like that he just seems to do and getting it up, folk. But not muted. Really, because he's like, well, that was not going in at all. That was, I know it should count as Halliday's goal because it was goal on target, but that's one of them where it's like, that should be an own goal.
I'd like to ask him about that and really see. I noticed that he's got an open goal out on the night that we record. I might have to go and give that a listen, and maybe he'll be honest about whether it's trickling wide or not. But let's look. You touched on it perfectly there. I think the early part of this game had everything: drive, intensity, genuine intention. I know that we were out prior to kickoff, given that Fiorentina obviously won in Istanbul, but less than a quarter of an hour gone, I genuinely was beginning to think that this is the pick-me-up that everybody connected to the club could do with. I thought it's been tough recently. I honestly believed that we could have made the scoreline anything that we wanted to. I presume that you were loving it, obviously, having not seen Hearts score in Europe.
I was just losing my mind. It was like the worst goal ever, a deflection. I celebrated like Kingsley's at Hampden. Yeah. You're just losing my mind. It was just a great time in those opening 20 minutes. It was just like, this is amazing. We're back to where we were last season. Who gives a shit about the quality of this opposition? Because it still is a European team, a champion of their domestic division.
In front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And in recent times, we often haven't beaten what's in front of us regardless of opposition. So I was just absolutely loving life. And then it almost felt, Nielsen said he just felt like everybody took a step backwards. And in particular, I think personally, RFS started targeting our midfield and started realising, we can do something here.
I wanted to ask you about a couple of things, actually. I'm going to save one of my questions for later on because the man ended up scoring 2 winning goals in the space of a week.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask you about the drop-off after his second goal because it did seem like, not that they crept back into it as such, because they certainly cranked up the heat a wee bit, but I don't know. It then felt as though it was a bit of a training session afterwards. It sort of lost that because both the goals were in such quick succession. I can't really put my finger on why that was the case.
I think it was lack of wanting to get hurt. I think it was, right, we're 2-0 up here. We're probably going to be able to see this out already, judging by how they're playing. And a lot of individuals probably went, I cannot get hurt. I can't get hurt going into a massive challenge. I can't get hurt running for a ball that maybe on another day in a more important game, I would be able to run and just get. But we're already 2-0 up against these guys, so I think it's all right. Obviously, that's just entirely my thesis. It's not, there's no evidence. I can't prove it. And Nielsen himself said he doesn't really know why we stepped off. But it could just also fatigue in and of itself. Just
maybe.
So many of these players have played so many minutes, and with injuries, like Robbie said, there's a few nursing injuries, but they have to just play through them just now because they're not enough to keep them out the team. So it might just be, we've got this, it's fine, let's pass it. But I don't mind that as much. I didn't mind the passing it at the back. And the people that were near me in S, where I got my ticket moved to, were furious at the idea that we were doing wee triangles at the back and it kept ending up at Civic, who would then put out. And I'm like, we're 2-0 up and it's 20 minutes in. I'm fine with this. Just keep the ball.
Yeah. Do you know what? Usually I would be one of those, but it's in circumstances.
Yeah.
It's all right when we're to the good and probably sewn up the 3 points already. Obviously, it wouldn't prove that way, but we weren't to know that. It's when we're sort of looking to respond in a game and it's so laboured, so pedestrian. There's no real kind of, I don't know, no real emphasis. There's no real chase. Like there's no, it just fizzles out. I don't know. I actually thought in the rest of that first half, Stephen Kingsley went close with a free kick. I thought we were going to be treated to what's become, a customary Kingsley cracker.
Why does he not take all our free kicks now, though?
I don't know. Because
Snodgrass has started taking them.
But Snodgrass seems to, I think favours Snodgrass from deeper. Anything within a kind of 30-yard range, particularly on the right-hand side, as we are going forward, surely favours a left footer, and i.e. Stephen Kingsley.
But Snodgrass took it against Kilmarnock, like 25 yards out on the right-hand side.
It sort of did result in a equaliser, but again,
no, the free kick.
Are you meaning the Atkinson one?
No, we got a free kick in the first half of the Killy game, like 25 yards out, and it was like, this is Stephen Kingsley, and Kingsley stood beside it, and Snodgrass just went, I'm having this.
True. Yeah, the two of them were over that, and then it was a terrible effort from Snodgrass. I think
let Stephen Kingsley hit the ball from distance. It's his best thing. He's really good at it.
I've also just realised that I didn't make a note of when Stephen Kingsley got injured.
I know. It's
a real kick in the nads, so that's not great. But look, anyway, I've talked about that Kingsley cracker, but as I previously alluded to, RFS did try and respond. They had a couple chances. Craig Gordon actually denied a Josh Ginnelly own goal from RFS corner. And then 3 minutes later, the deficit was to be halved, and it was due to an absolute wonder goal. The Latvians knock it about nicely. Andre Illich nods down for Kevin Friesenbichler. Yep. To send an absolute thunderbolt past Gordon in a flash. McIver, we've seen some great goals in Gorgie over the years. That one is right up there for me. An absolutely phenomenal strike. Well,
ironically, I didn't see it because as it happened, the guy directly in front of me stood up and was like speaking to folk. As that, just like literally the guy was in line with them. So I just saw the ball suddenly travel in and was like, I'm both annoyed that we've conceded, but also annoyed that I've clearly missed an absolute raker.
I think my dad was turning to talk to me. I can't remember what he said. I just had my eyes on the action and I just saw that absolute worldie. I was that's nice.
So for me, this was actually like, barring his other shot in the game, this was like the last meaningful thing that happened.
100%. I was about to allude onto that. We've got 2 games to discuss. We've got the quiz. I'm hoping that the quiz can drag us out to an hour because these 2 matches, genuinely, all the action happens in the first half and it just dies into general nothingness. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to drag out and say.
But their plan was clearly just give it to him and have him hit rakers. And it worked twice. It worked once with a goal and then it basically worked with his second effort. Just the joint saved us.
After an hour where, again, as you say, it hits off the woodwork. 3 minutes later, we were talking about Josh Ginnelly and, his rise to decent performances again. I don't know where I'm going with this. But Michael Smith sends one long. Gino cuts in with the ball still in the air. It's a sublime first touch to take him inside, shift onto his left foot before Steinbor's saves once again. And I couldn't believe what I was watching. I literally thought to myself, this is the Josh Ginnelly that we saw in the early part of the championship, probably before he got injured, like you say.
I was so chuffed for him. I was gutted it didn't come off, but I was just so chuffed for him with that performance. Funnily enough, you say that. That's when Kingsley got hurt. It was immediately after that. Nice. And it happened right in front of me because I was an S. So he made his run. Mackay doesn't play him in, and he just immediately does it. And listen, I've not seen it back. I've not watched that moment back. But from where I was sat, kind of yards away, he looked like he was in tears. Like he looked like he just started crying. Because it's not one of those where he's in agony. It's one of those where he's like, that's went. And it's an acceptance of that's gone. And it's just like, what is happening? Basically, most of them are contact injuries. Like our injury list, so many of them are contact injuries. Other ones like Kingsley's are muscle injuries, because I feel like I saw, barring Cochrane, there has been no other outfield player who's played more minutes than Kingsley. So wow. It's just so much effort on his body that he went for something that didn't come off, quickly stopped, and that's it went. But it's like, this, for me, this is worse than the Levine McPhee injury crisis that happened, because now actual competent footballers are getting hurt as well. It's not just like Machino and 83-year-old Stephen McLean. Like, it's like our captain level.
It's decent players.
It's our 2 starting centre halves, our 2 starting midfielders, our starting striker, our best free kick taker and arguable player of the season last season, one of our better signings this season. Like, it's everybody. And then there's guys like GMS who are just also inexplicably getting hurt, like from training. Like,
breaking his foot. What a boy.
It is unbelievable. And I want to kind of make this point more at the Ross County game, but it's a testament to the existing players that we are where we are. And now, can we please speak about T.O.B.Y. Civic?
Yeah, we can, by all means.
Because I nearly got emotional. I won't lie. Right?
You and countless others.
That period, I've watched it back 5 times. That period between the 78th minute and the 83rd minute, where whenever the ball went out of play, whenever we did anything, and most importantly, whenever Civic touched the ball, the whole stand just sing the T.O.B.Y. Civic song. And I was just saying to my brother as it was happening, I was like, I cannot imagine that feeling, just like being Civic in that moment.
It must just feel incredible. Like it must just give you just goosebumps all over. I can't begin to imagine what that feels like.
I was so happy with him because, as I said this last week, Civic had a really good game against Celtic, which is weird considering he's part of a defence that conceded 4 and was arguably, it went off him for Greg Taylor's winner right at the very end. But Civic still played very well in that game. And he's come back in since his extended time out because he was having a nightmare. For a variety of different circumstances, he was having a nightmare. So Nielsen took him out of the team. And clearly that's done him the world of good. Because that's now 3 games on the bounce, if we include the weekend, where he's been at the very least solid. And then in games like Thursday, where he was like head and shoulders man of the match, exceptional, didn't put a foot wrong. I'm so delighted for him. And I hope it continues. What a novelty, playing him in a position where he feels comfortable, is confident in his own abilities, and can actually do what he's good at.
I know, square pegs and square holes as opposed to square pegs and round holes. What a wacky, bizarre, crazy notion that has held back our football club for years. I
was just so buzzed about it. And I was saying this to you on Friday night as we're on our way. I finally realised that Ross Stewart does have an importance to the club. Because Civic was just going to walk off. Civic was heading towards the tunnel, like very quickly after the final whistle, was just kind of going to clap and then go down. But Ross Stewart grabs him, hugs him, and like pulls him back onto the park and like pushes him in front of everybody to get, to get the adulation that he deserved. You just need folk like Ross Stewart. He's never going to play. We've got Xander Clark now. You just need folk who are good, funny lads. And everybody seems to love Ross Stewart.
No, I'm not having that, McIver. The gaffer said that, as soon as Xander Clark signs, he'll provide competition for Craig Gordon and Ross Stewart. That's your manager. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, you know what?
His words, not mine.
This season, Ross Stewart is averaging a 9 out of 10 performance, considering he only played one game and he was excellent.
Outstanding. What a career. Look, you've alluded to the fact that there was next to no chances in the second half. The only other one that I've got of note is, frankly, a sitter. Barry Mackay dinks into the box in search of Lawrence Shankland. He heads against the post. But it breaks out to little Lewis Nielsen, who comes on up from the back, and he sends one high and wide, spiraling into the corgi stand. And that is possibly the last player that we want on the end of that opportunity.
If Devlin isn't on the park, the last person you want is Nielsen. I think that's the first time Lewis Nielsen have ever been described as little, by the way.
Yeah, I know he is quite tall. I realised, but it's because he's a young boy.
It worked.
It's just a little cutie. Look at him at the back.
You've made me realise there's two other people I want to speak about. One of which I think would be discussed in a totally different manner if it wasn't for the weekend. But Andy Halliday was head and shoulders above the other two midfielders on the night, right? And obviously, Halliday played well, and Halliday's had a very good week. But I feel like if Halliday was just kind of running about, he would have had a better game than the other two midfielders, because Keogh and Grant, and I'll be honest, I think Grant especially, were really poor. Keogh grew into the game once Grant went off.
Grant actually played his part in both goals. It was only then when I was watching back the
so
highlights,
weird. I know.
How has this happened?
I know.
Because I'm with you. I'm with you. I say it just about every week. I'm yet to see anything from George Grant that I've gone, do you know what? That was well worth the dough that we forked out.
And he's been ill. I'll say this, because everyone on Twitter was saying it, and I didn't know this. He's been ill the past week. So fair play to him for playing in both games when we're so lightweight and we've got nobody else. Right?
That's fair.
And considering that he is ill, you probably do have to expect that level of performance from him. So, like, this week of all weeks, I'm not going to go too hard into him, but it was just very evident. I didn't know where he was playing in the first half.
That's it. I mean, usually I'm told that in fact, you said so on Friday night, that I'm the glass half empty Hearts fan. I've literally tried to come on, present the fact that it's a week of positives, and there you are, slewing George Grant. Robert Borthwick, open your eyes. It's not just me.
No, what I'm doing is just being objective and going, he had a bad game.
Whereas I'm just a hateful soul that hates absolutely everyone. And
you don't take context into account. I'm going, he's had a bad week, but he was ill, so I'll give him a pass.
Whereas I've just got his shite full stop and
get rid of him.
One final take on the RFS game, because I realised that we are actually dragging this out remarkably somehow. I want to give a massive credit to their fans that made the trip over, because I know that there was a small band of them.
They were amazing.
But they were amazing, and I hope that they had a wonderful time. I hope they realised that Edinburgh is a beautiful city. They managed to visit the premium stadium in the capital and the premium football club in the capital, and just hope that they had a great time in Scotland, and we hope to see them back sometime soon.
They basically did the bouncy for 90 minutes, and I was just sat laughing, and I was fully on board with it. It was absolutely class. Fair play to them.
And then Hearts headed for the Highlands to take on Ross County in Dingwall. A ground that we haven't won at in 5 years, I think, prior to Sunday.
We're unbeaten in 9.
Yes. Yes. Well done. Before we chat about the men in maroon heading for Victoria Park, where our record is great, but not so great, we're going to go elsewhere in the Scottish Premiership. I haven't watched a second other than Tony Watt sending off and our match,
Same.
mate. So I'm gonna hand. Oh, well, that's great. I was gonna hand over to you here, so that's of absolutely no significance. But for those that obviously are tuning in, Saturday saw Hamel Ball in full flow right before Motherwell come to Gorgie. Shock corner as they nicked a 1-0 win over Dundee United at Tannadice, like I say. It was nice of Hibernian to beat 11 men as opposed to 10 as they got past St Mirren 3-0 at Easter Road on Saturday afternoon. Pressure on Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's shoulders is temporarily alleviated. I've no idea how they're getting on in the Champions League against Ajax tonight as we record, but they smashed Aberdeen 4-1 at the weekend. And
they're already getting beat.
Oh, wow. Okay. Score?
They conceded in 4 minutes. It's 1-0 Ajax.
Wow. Calvin Bassey?
No, Berghaus.
Oh, smashing. And finally, the last match of what was anything but a Super Saturday saw St Johnstone sneak past Kilmarnock at McDiarmid Park. And these are just the type of wins that will keep St Johnstone in the league, despite me being adamant that this was going to be the year that they would eventually drop out and hopefully never return. And Sunday, Livingston 0, Celtic 3, the reigning champions, cruise to a win in West Lothian, something that they don't do very often. So what do you make of the other quintet of games in the cinch, mate?
You just mentioned it there, so I'll start with the reason they don't do it often, Celtic at the Tony Macaroni, is because Jack Hamilton normally isn't in goals for Livingston, but he was on that day.
Can I just say, I was driving home from work the Sunday. I was working Sunday early morning, and is there actually a worse pundit in Scottish football than Pat Bonner? He was talking about Jack Hamilton being a young goalkeeper. Jack Hamilton is 28. He's 28 years of age. He's been around the block.
For a keeper, that's a bit younger.
Yeah, but he's not as though he's a young... He wouldn't come in the young player category. This is the same guy that questioned why Greg Taylor wasn't selected by Craig Levein as Scotland manager. Greg Taylor would have been a 7-year-old.
Is that a thing? I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh my God, mate. Search it. Google it. One of the worst bits of punditry I've ever heard.
Wow. But yeah, I have actually seen the goals from the Celtic game. I've just remembered it because, especially, I think it's the second one. Jack Hamilton is it's flat Jack again. It's just, we saw it for 3 years.
Flap Jack. That's title material.
We saw him do that at us for ages. Tony Watt was rightly sent off.
Yes,
I do not understand.
So at first, but the replays, I think, where it sort of shows the side on angle, 100% it's a red card.
For me, even the first spot on angle, I was like, that's a red. I personally don't understand the discourse around it, especially now that we've had that other angle that you see from the other side where he clearly does just go into the guy's thigh. Rangers, just great. Hooray, Rangers won. And then St Johnstone Kelly, it's like, oh yeah, Hibs. Oh, it's St Mirren, great. Harry McCurdy seems to be having a great time in Edinburgh, by the way.
Oh, that is sensational for him. I honestly thought he was going to be a little rodent that would come back and annoy us. Now I think the guy's a hero.
He's definitely scoring the winner in the derby. Do not say anything. What are you talking about?
But in terms of, where do you think he ranks on kind of the Chris Mueller scale in terms of?
I don't know because
he's shafted Hibs.
He's not done anything yet.
60 minutes he's played. Oh, brilliant.
And then,
tremendous.
St Johnstone beat Kelly in just the way that McDiarmid Park is a weird fortress, but only against specific teams. It seems
specific shite.
Yeah, and us.
Like us.
Yeah.
No, like us.
Yeah, like us. When we go to McDiarmid Park, we're basically a League Two side.
Oh, dear. They just are going to stay in this league, and we just are going to get beaten Perth.
We are.
I hate that place so much.
28th of December, cannot wait.
Oh, right before the derby as well. I'm not interested. But look, we would head for the Highlands, like you say, with our weird and wonderful record up there. Robbie Nielsen made 2 changes, I think, to the Hearts starting lineup that beat Riga in midweek. Obviously, Stephen Kingsley joining the plethora of players that are out with injury, as Robert Snodgrass would return because he's obviously ineligible. Andy Halliday would then move to left back, Alex Cochrane at left centre back, as Connor Smith made his first Hearts start, Jesus, in 3 years, replacing George Grant in midfield. I'm sorry.
That was a hard sentence to say in fairness.
I know. I don't know why I picked it. I don't know why I picked it up like that.
Yeah.
But the team lined up as follows. According to T.O.B.Y, it was a 4-1-4-1.
I think it was a 4-1-4-1.
4-3-3. Well, it's got it as Craig Gordon in goal. Back four of Halliday, Cochrane, Civic, and Smith. With Kier Soglu ahead of that. You go along with that?
Yeah.
Mackay on the left, Ginelli on the right, and Snodgrass and Smith supporting Shankland in attack. Thoughts?
I was simultaneously chuffed that we actually could name a reasonably strong squad. Well, 11. I was like, okay, that's a quite strong 11. Fair play. Good to see Connor Smith get a start. Like, it means he can do something from the very beginning of the game.
We've both got a bit of admiration for.
Yeah, I hope he does well, but I'll be honest, I don't think he's gonna. But
no,
I think he's got more of a chance than like Ewan Henderson. He's shown more than Henderson, in my opinion. But the what? Speaking about Ewan Henderson, the worry was the bench. It was like it really. If people hadn't paid attention up until that point,
same in midweek, mind you, as well. To be fair, though,
true, very, very true, actually. But this week, if people
hadn't, it was
been
probably
paying
more
attention,
highlighted because again we're back in domestic action. Our domestic form has been struggling. You know, it's not as though it's a nothing game, whereas the RFS game kind of was. We wanted to win it for the prize money. We wanted to win it to kind of restore some pride, finish third, this, that, and all the other.
But we had to win. But
the league's our bread and butter.
Yeah. And we had 2 goalkeepers and 4 teenagers and George Grant. So
Alan Forrest.
Oh yeah, Alan Forrest. In fairness, I kind of forgot Forrest was there.
Alan Forrest. Sorry, I like the chants of late. I think they're good. My only annoyance. Sorry, before we get into discussing the action, my only annoyance is the Lauren Shanklin one. The glad all over, and it ends with all the time. I think that sounds
that
shit.
Works.
No, I'd much rather he's our number 9.
That
sounds better than all the time. Like we've got,
syllables.
we know that we've got Lauren Shanklin. So why do we need to specify that we've got him all the time? It's not as though he's only here for half the time.
Yes, we do need to specify because everybody else is barely here. So we need to be celebrating the fact that we've got Lauren Shanklin all the time because we don't have anybody else all the time.
Can we put this up as a clip and we can get a general discussion going on all the socials? I'm not having this. We've got Lauren Shanklin all the time. I just think it's a poor ending.
Well, for the clip, explain what you want it to be replaced with.
So I would rather that instead of I'd rather he's our number 9 rather than all the time, because I just think it's a poor.
You think yours is better?
Over stuff, yeah. Well, it's not that mine's better.
Think yours is better?
No.
Well, we'll see what happens.
I'm putting forward a suggestion. I'm not like. I like the whole glad all over thing. I like him. It's not like I've wanted Hearts to sign him for a wee while.
Do you know what my issue with the chant is? Is
that
on. Some folk don't seem to know that bit at all. Some folk just seem to just keep going with it. We've got Lauren Shanklin. Like, that's it. And then as a result, it creates a complete division between people doing the actual chant and some folk in the background just going, we've got, just continuously all the time. Stay all the time. Or he's our number 9. Whatever you want to do, just actually keep the song going.
I like he's our number 9. Anywho, the action on Sunday, it wouldn't take too long for VAR to have its way. You've obviously voiced the fact that you are a big advocate of VAR, Mr. McIver.
This is an example of why.
Well and truly making its mark into the Singe in recent weeks, isn't it? County worked their opportunity really well. Ross Laidlaw's kick sent forward to Jordan White. Chess it to Yandanda. It's sent out wide to Jordi Hewula. He eventually finds Callum Johnson, who's up from right back. Sends a left-foot shot towards goal. Gordon panies. It breaks to Awura Edwards, who scoops into the box toward Jordan White. It's deemed no foul by Alex Cochrane, but it breaks for Jordi Hewula to slam beyond Gordon. A fantastic finish. I was going to ask you, did we get away with one in this instance? But you've just said that you believe it's the right call. I also do. But at first glance, I've got to be honest, I certainly didn't.
I didn't, in the sense of I didn't think to look at the player who was offside because I just couldn't physically see him.
White sort of is at the forefront of the action, so your gaze and attention automatically goes towards him, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So I just assumed, oh, that's what it's for. But I will say, we alongside everybody else in Scottish football deride officials. That didn't even need to go to VAR initially because the Lionel flagged it as offside. He saw it was offside, so fair play to him. Yeah, the goal was disallowed, and then the check was if it should have been allowed, not the other way around.
Fair play, Lionel. So, you do Hearts games every week, because some of the others are genuinely honking.
But yeah, as soon as you see that the line goes all the way to the back, it's like, oh yeah. I didn't understand because I saw I watched our highlights on Sports Scene, and Kenny Miller he said he was convinced, but it took him quite a while. And it seemed that was the way with a lot of people. And I just personally disagree. I think as soon as you see the lines, it's like, oh yeah, he is offside.
He and Michael Stewart seemed to be at one another's throats. I didn't catch anything else in Sports Scene, but by all accounts, that's great. I mean, that's exactly what we want. Our pundits going, head to head. I'd love to see more sort of fisticuffs thrown between pundits. Why not?
I wouldn't, because it's so boring. I'm not here for yous. Analyze the games.
But there's no fun if everybody just agrees with everything all the time.
No, that's
not a podcast.
I'm not saying don't disagree.
We need discussion. We need debate.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't like it. Like the Keane and Neville stuff where it's all about them and all that, and like
and the glory days, and
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank just sat in the middle, no saying anything, because it's like, what am I meant to offer to this? Because it is just that. It literally is that.
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, my God.
But I don't think he gets the opportunity. I don't know how this has happened, but I don't know. Like that's what I don't like about your Keanes, your Jamie Redknapp's like it, and like pundits of that ilk who just are there they're not there for any analysis. They can't provide any worthwhile analysis.
I think Carragher's on the other end of the scale.
Carragher and Neville, when Neville's with Carragher, are excellent at.
And when he's not being a hypocrite.
Yeah, and like when he's not speaking about United, really. But yeah, like guys like Carragher and Henry's really good at it as well, actually. In terms of just like analysing the game, I think there's a lot of good pundits out there. Do you remember that time when Jose Mourinho went on Sky Sports as a pundit, and it was the best punditry there's ever been because it was actually someone speaking about he knew what like the game.
He was also on Talk Sport for a bit, was he not?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a purveyor of Talk Sport myself, so I couldn't tell you.
I'm a wee bit guilty of Talk Sport. I shied away from it for ages, but that's creeping back into my life. And VAR's obviously creeping into our lives. And Hearts conceding shit goals is
from crosses specifically.
Yeah. Because Jordan White would prod Ross County in front, cross from Jan Danda on the right-hand side. He was proving a menace in the early exchanges.
He looks good.
He does look good. And the big man's there to stab home. What were your thoughts?
It's so annoying because it was at this point where the Hearts TV stream died. So nobody saw this, right?
I'm glad that you brought this up. I definitely wasn't watching illegally. Me.
Well, the Hearts TV stream died. So I missed all of this. So when I heard Jordan White had scored from a cross, I was like, for God's sake, a lofted ball into the box has been played.
Target wee Cochrane.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. It was like, and the giant Jordan White saying, is there much we could do about that apart from stopping the cross? When in actuality, it turns out it was just a trundle across the ground that Jordan White fell into.
Yeah, it doesn't even like strike it well, or I genuinely believe that he doesn't know that it's coming off him.
It's so infuriating. It's like, what's going on? Any Hamel ball will be in full effect, and it'll be odd in one flank next weekend.
Kevin Van Veen's gonna have a field day. He's not scored for ages,
and it's just like just put a ball in because he's big. So it'll just be like just put a ball in the box, see what happens.
Can see it a mile off. But thankfully, the lead wouldn't last for long, which is great. Michael Smith and his namesake Connor combined down the right-hand side. Lauren Shankland is pulled back to him. His first effort, bit of a tame one. However, it gets a saying about the cherry, slams beyond Ross Laidlaw to drag Hearts back on level terms. And as you said, that's now 5 goals in 3 games for the Jambos number 9, 11 for the season. What a bagsman. What a signing. You're all welcome.
So you cannot claim Lawrence Shankland. No, you can't.
Did. Yeah, I did.
You can claim 3 people. GMS.
Oh, here we go. Oh,
they're all of varying degrees of it. Well done. GMS, which is the bottom, then Halliday, then Mackay. Those are the 3 that you can take as claim.
I wanted Shankland from early.
But so did so many people.
No, you didn't. You didn't. No, there was various. No. Hold on a second. The Hearts fan base were very split on this. They were 50-50.
Yeah.
He only bags in a championship team. Oh, he played for a ranked Rotten United team and he barely scored any goals. Oh, he only scores penalties. Oh, hold on a second. League One and Championship, he looks like Ronaldo. Can't cut in the Scottish Premiership. Get it up, all you. I know. If he scores goals, he scores goals. Bagsman, simple as.
You've just said the fan base was split, which means it wasn't split 99% to you. It was split 50-50.
It was 50-50.
So that means there was many others who also wanted.
There's those that are sensible like me, and there's the numpties that doubted him like you.
Yeah, the sensible lot behind Gary Mackay-Steven as the great signing that we all wanted.
No. They don't have to agree with me on Gary Mackay-Steven. And in fairness, he did well up until a point.
No, he didn't. He did well for the last 5 games in the Championship and the opening day against Celtic last season. That 6-game period, he was good, and then he was terrible every other aspect.
Exactly. You say that last season was a 9 out of 10. I didn't hear you mention the fact that he slammed in the opener to get things underway, get the ball rolling.
I literally did in the review.
Overlook that.
In the review of the season, I said was, isn't it funny that the start of this incredible season was done by one of our worst players?
So disrespectful. But anyway, Shankland scored again.
Shankland scored, hooray. I'm very happy. So that's 11 goals, 2 assists in 20 games?
Oh, now you're asking.
I feel like it's 2. I feel like he's got 2 assists.
You're always
2!
This contributions, this assists. I don't care. Get it in the box.
13 goal contributions in 20 games. That makes it better, though. Like, 11 in 20 isn't as good as 13 in 20.
Yeah, but 11 goals.
An assist is as important as a goal.
No, all I care about is my centre forward bagging goals.
If Shankland was getting 2 goals and 11 assists, I'd be as happy. Because he's contributed to 13 goals. That's why Barry Mackay, everybody loved him last season because he got 100. It didn't matter that he wasn't scoring that many goals.
Yeah, but that's because nobody else would chip forward with assists.
Yeah, but nobody. I realised that, by the way.
No, just like nobody else is really come forward.
No one else is scoring. It's literally just Shankland.
Oh, one-man hearts. You got to love it.
Because that goal meant that Shankland is now joint second top goal scorer in the division with Kyogo.
Yeah, it's only Cholak.
Cholak has got 11.
Is it him, Kyogo, and Miovski?
Miovski also have 8. Yeah. And it did make me realise when I saw that like top 10 or top 12 it was like, oh, he's the only Hearts player on that list. Fun enough though, Cholak's the only Rangers player on that list, which is a lot more. Celtic had like 4 players who all have roughly the same amount of goals.
Giakoumakis, Abada,
Jota.
Jota, various.
Yeah, Shankland, I'm buzzing for him. I thought between him and another person we'll speak about was in shout for man of the match because his all-round play was excellent as well, not just his kind of centre-forward play. He was dropping back. We didn't really speak about that in the European game. He dropped into midfield for the last 10 minutes and Connor Smith was playing, or Ewan Henson was playing up.
Running on empty.
Fair play to him. He's done so, because that was my worry. My worry was the stuff that you heard from literally every other team he played for, that his conditioning wasn't the best. That's why Aberdeen let him go when he had to go down the leagues. But honestly, since he's come in, I thought his conditioning has been excellent.
Like I say, I think I said it a couple weeks or episodes ago, the whole PT thing with Ayr being part-time, I think it's just done him wonders.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thankfully, thanks to Shankland's goal and Andy Halliday, the visitors would turn the game on its head. Great work from Josh Ginnelly down the right, wins Hearts a corner, and it's a wonderful delivery from Robert Snodgrass. Headed home, a set piece, a corner goal.
I know.
Unbelievable. And Andy Halliday, of all people, even saw in his celebration, he was saying to Lee McCulloch,
It's my favourite thing. It's my favourite thing.
It's just a massive get it up you to Lee McCulloch, the fact that he wanted to be involved in the corners. He said so post-match on Hearts TV. And what a header, in off the bar.
That's
phenomenal
the thing.
Goal.
It's not just like, it's went into the box and he's kind of fallen over and headed
He's
in.
poked it home like a Ryan McGowan, dare I say it. Yeah, I'm watching Gowser.
Wow. You're just taking shots at everybody here. Robert Borthwick said that you didn't like folk and you're like, right, I'm living up to this.
I'm proving Rob's theory.
You are. Actually,
I really am.
But yeah, it's an incredible header. It's so good.
Ridiculous.
I don't understand this about Halliday. Why, since he joined, why every season has he gotten better? Because in the Championship, it was quite poor overall. He was not great in the Championship.
He was average.
Then, last season, he was fine. Like, he had some really good games, some really poor games, and a few in between.
The hero in the derby.
And this season, he's been very consistently quite good. And that's not the way a footballer, especially, he's the wrong side of 30. Like, you would imagine it would go the other way, that at a lower division, he'd be able to just do whatever he wants and be good. And then we come up, it's like, come up, not that good. And then the next season when we're playing in Europe, as well as everything, we're like, all right, this is when we need to phase Andy Halliday out. But it's literally been the reverse, and I don't understand it. But fair play to him.
Fair play indeed. Look, I would go on about countless other chances, but this really was.
I want to speak about Keogh now.
It wasn't a spectacle for the neutral, so you can carry on about Keogh. Go on.
Orestes Keogh got himself into Team of the Week for the SPFL today, as we're recording this.
Saw that.
And it's fully deserved, because after all the negative press he rightly got on Thursday night, some people were like, shit, he's playing in a must-win game away from home. It's going to be really tough. And he basically didn't put a foot wrong. He was an absolute colossus in the middle of the park. It allowed everybody else, what have you got issue to take?
No, you can carry on, but I've got one little bugbear.
So it's Daniel and his stats again. He's back.
No, again.
He's back.
Oh no, the Stato's back.
Yep, he's back. So Keogh in that game had 86% pass accuracy, 78% long ball accuracy, which is really impressive. Won 3 out of his 5 tackles, won 83% of his ground duels, was fouled 4 times, only committed 1 foul, made 8 recoveries and intercepted 4 times. He had an excellent, excellent game, and I was delighted for him, considering so many people were giving him abuse, like idiots named Adam Kennedy who know nothing about football.
I didn't give him abuse. It was George Grant that I give abuse.
Yeah, true.
I don't give any abuse anymore. I'm opening up. Do you know what? In my
your old age.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say that. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing we're all humans, guys. T.O.B.Y Civic's proof of it. Look at him flying after a couple of games.
But yeah, buzzing for
Love
Keogh.
you, Tobes.
Fully deserved for him. Obviously, he's coming to the team when there's like basically every single game he has to play with new partners because everybody else is getting hurt.
This is something that I wanted to touch on as well. Like, our results, it's no coincidence to me that they drop off because of the constant chopping and changing.
Well, of course, that's going to happen.
Partnerships have to develop on the park here. I'm sorry. And talking about 2 players, you were talking about Keogh Murtsoglu there, and I agree, it probably was his best performance for Hearts so far. But one second half chance that I wanted to touch on is, we've alluded to great goals that we've seen. We've also seen some sitters in away days recently. However, this was one for our opponents.
Yeah.
Jack Baldwin hooks into the box. Callum Johnson headers over from a matter of yards out. The goal at his wake after he sort of unintentionally flicks it up with.
Yeah, he takes a
like
touch.
His shoulder. It's so weird. But as soon as he misses the sitter, what I loved was T.O.B.Y Civic and Orestes Keogh Murtsoglu instantly looking at one another, digging one another out, and Robert Snodgrass, who I think was part of that trio, who all just conveniently watched it. Thankfully, we're let off the hook. But that was pleasing to see. The fact that, do you know what? It's not been an ideal start for either of them this season, but they're more than willing to dig one another out and say, hold on a second, that marking wasn't good enough. We've been let off the hook, thankfully. Fucking fix up or catch you.
See, this is what I was saying. Keogh talking on the pitch and telling folk what to do.
Don't try and kid on like that's what you were going to say.
That's what I said in the last game about the Gino thing. This is, listen, you've got an arrogance this week that I'm not very happy with. I'm not happy with this. We've won 2 games and you're coming in here because Lawrence Shankland scored in both. This is unacceptable.
Both my signings, you said it. I'll do Lawrence Shankland. There you go. Both my summers have come to the fore.
There, everybody. It's Adam Kennedy's. He's to thank for the upturning form that we've had.
2 wins on the spin. You're all welcome.
I imagine you actually broke into Orium and broke GMS's foot, so he couldn't inflict further damage to us.
What? Like I was going to touch on next to nothing about this game, but I actually felt like for once, you know, in recent weeks I feel like we've been unlucky. Somewhat unlucky. I think Sunday, actually, we saw some luck go our way, whether it be kind of the goal being offside and it then being disallowed. Perhaps we wouldn't have had that with VAR. I think the Johnson sitter, again, like, it's about time. It wasn't the prettiest. Don't get me wrong. We had to grind it out. But ultimately, I will take that 3 points any day of the week, particularly given the fact that we've barely won up there for years.
It's arguably the most important win of the season, considering the context of how many players we have out, the schedule we're on, going away from home on a tough away day, and the potential ramifications that result had either way. Because if we lost it, that meant we would have been 2 points away from bottom of the week. Whereas now,
which is mad,
we're 3 points away from third with a game in hand. And that it's such a testament.
It's crazy.
It's a testament to Robbie, Jig, Gordon Forrest, and this squad that with all the issues we've had, the amount of injuries, suspensions, the massive schedule we've had, we're 3 points away from third with a game in hand. What are we going to be like when we've got even half the players back? We don't have Europe to contend with. It's just domestic. There is a lot. I know it's obviously been a really hard start to the season, and considering how terrifying October looked when we were about to start it, the fact that we finished it in the position we are is incredible, and there is reason to be quite positive going forward.
Definitely. And even looking ahead to the weekend's fixtures, Aberdeen and Hibs play one another on Friday night. Great fixture for us. We've obviously got Motherwell on Sunday, which will be tough, but hopefully we can keep this little win and run going. It'd be great if we actually picked up back-to-back wins in the league ahead of then finishing for the World Cup.
Definitely.
See, I can be positive from time to time.
Well
We've been
done,
at
mate.
each other's throats tonight for part of this, and that will no doubt continue with the final element of the podcast, the quiz. Here we go.
Come on.
Right, so I've searched up the Who Am I's Wikipedia because I know that you're going to ask questions, as you do.
Okay, good.
However,
You said that as if like that was a bad thing. You're like, oh yeah, you're asking questions.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't.
Well, why is that right? It's just nice.
I didn't mean for it to come out like that. Right, we've got a multiple choice. We have a true or false, and obviously the Who Am I? Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect. Right. Question number 1. You've actually annoyingly alluded to it earlier. Oh, no, sorry. That's the second question. Question number 1. Hearts have lost just once in Dingwall, as an 89th and 90th minute goal handed Ross County a 2-1 win back in September 2013. But what I want to know, Daniel McIver, is who scored the Jambos goal that day? Was it A, Callum Patterson, B, Jamie Walker, C, Sam Nicholson, or D, Billy King?
I'm really sad that this is the question because I thought it was going to be, when was the last loss? Because I knew it was September 2013. I was like, I've got this. Right. So it's 2013.
Yes. I thought you were going to carry on and say something.
No.
So it's 2013.
No, I'm just trying to take myself back. I'm going to go. I think the obvious answer is Walker. I don't think it's Walker. I think the rogue answer is Patterson. I don't think it's Patterson. So for me in my head, it's between Billy King and Nicholson. I'm going to go with Sam Nicholson.
Is the incorrect answer.
Who was it?
It was the rogue answer, Callum Patterson.
I'm fine, as long as it wasn't Billy King after I'd eliminated a bunch of people.
Yeah, because I think he was still playing up front for us.
Well, all I did in my head was he still playing up front by then? And in my head, I was like, I don't think he was, but he might have been.
There you go. But this is one that you'll probably get, given that you've obviously done your research with regards to Ross County versus Hearts. Out of the 10 matches since that defeat in Dingwall, the weekend included, how many have Hearts won?
5.
Correct. Picking up 5 draws as we are now unbeaten in 10 trips to the Highlands to take on County. That is incredibly annoying.
Thank you at SPFL for your tweets.
Yeah, that's exactly where I got the questions from. Thanks SPL stats. Right. Question number 3. Obviously, our European adventure will come to an end on Thursday. Away goals have been cancelled in European club competition, presumably for the foreseeable future, although I don't actually know that. But true or false, Hearts have only once qualified through a 2-legged tie, courtesy of the away goal rule.
False. I don't think we ever have.
Correct. We have lost to Dukla Prague, Red Star Belgrade, and Stuttgart, courtesy of the away goals rule.
Yeah, I didn't think we had.
Good knowledge. Number 4. Stephen Humphreys could be one of several first-team stars to leave Wigan Athletic soon, given their financial uncertainty. But who was the last player that Hearts signed from the Latics?
Jamie Walker?
Is the correct answer. Very good, Mackay. I thought I'd catch you out.
Yeah,
my
brain went, oh no, who the fuck have we seen for Wigan? And then I was like, wait, it's a trick question, kind of.
Yeah, I thought I'd get you, but very good.
3 from 4. I'll take it.
Aye, you've done well. You've done very well.
I'll borrow them.
I actually did look at this and thought, have I made this like doable? And then I thought, nah, McIver might not have paid attention, but
yeah, I have a history of that.
Clear to see that you have been this week, so well done.
Thank you.
Right, the who am I?
Right.
Get yourself ready. After starting my career in Scotland, playing for both Highland clubs, I played for 3 clubs to play in the English leagues before joining the Jambos. My father and missus were both professional footballers, and my middle name links to one of our assistant managers. I have 10 caps for my country, with the last of those coming when I was 29 back in 2012. Who am I?
Oh my God. Well, this is the hardest one you've ever done.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. First question. Between what years did they play for Hearts?
Fuck off. I knew that you were going to ask this. 2016 and 2018.
Right. They were here for 2 years in a not great time. Right. Sorry, did you say I think the second question was, did you say they played for 3 English clubs, then came to us?
I played for 3 clubs to play in the English leagues before joining the Jambos, yes.
Right, okay. Well, I don't need to ask the manager question, because I know that now for the time period.
Yep, Cathro.
Well, and surely Levine as well. Oh, Cathro, you said, so not Nielsen. So he joined in the summer of 2016, right? Not January.
I can get you in the sign.
No, I don't care about that. No, okay. I'm going with that logic that you said that he didn't play because Nielsen was that.
Yeah, but I could be tricking you.
Yeah, you're not intelligent enough to do that though. So I'm going with that.
Wow. Wow. It's you that's got the attitude tonight, I'm telling you.
It's all happening. I don't just want to say what position was he, but I feel like I should say that. Trying to think of any other potential questions. I'm also simultaneously being like, their middle name is either Jig, Lee, McCulloch, Gordon, or Forrest. It's one of them. But I feel like I don't think I'd know their middle name. What position did they play? That's my second question.
They were a midfielder.
The worst option, because there's so many of them.
Come on.
Did you say both Highland clubs? So Inverness and Ross County?
Yes.
So they started there, then played for 3 teams who...
Do you want me to repeat the...
Yeah, repeat the questions.
After starting my career in Scotland, playing for both Highland clubs, I played for 3 clubs to play in the English leagues before joining the Jambos. My father and missus were both professional footballers. My middle name links to one of our assistant managers. I have 10 caps for my country, with the last of those coming when I was 29 in 2012. Who am I?
The problem is the reason I'm not going to get this, is because I cannot think of a single player with a dad who played football.
Okay.
That's in that time period, I cannot think of a single person. Never mind positionally a midfielder specifically.
Okay.
Because, no, he's a left back and doesn't have a famous dad.
Who are you thinking of? They don't have to be famous.
No, but like a footballer dad. Dimitri Mitchell's dad, didn't he play? And he never played at Inverness. And
Dimitri's da Phil.
Yeah, exactly. I see what you've done there. Started their career in Scotland, but then also had a dad.
I think you'll be kicking yourself, mate. I really, really do.
I will, because I don't pay attention to stuff like this. And it annoys me whenever I see it, because I'm like, I should know that. Right. The way that you phrased the English thing makes me think he played for a Welsh club as well. Like a Swansea or a Cardiff.
Interesting.
It's not like the move.
I don't think Loic de Moor's got 10 caps for France, but I'm
no,
100%.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that clue as well. And the last cap was in 2012.
Yes.
This is
Sorry,
annoying.
I have to say, I just keep thinking, we got Alan Forrest. That's stuck in my head.
Well, that doesn't help me. That's just
putting it. We've got Alan Forrest.
Who did we sing that about? Is that a clue? Is that a weird subliminal messaging clue? I don't remember us ever singing that about anybody else. I need to think of a guess here. I can't. The problem is I can't even think of midfielders who played in that time.
Interesting.
Like, the only name that I have is Perry Kitchen, who didn't start his career here, the American.
Interesting.
Who is a midfielder that was at both of them? He didn't sign this early. No, that's not right, because he never played in England, and he didn't play for Scotland in 2012. He would have been about 12. Ross Callahan.
So you think he's played in England?
I know, exactly. That's what I mean, yeah. He clearly isn't Scottish, because you would have just said he is Scottish, unless you were evil and said he started his career in Scotland.
Would I have?
Is this you now realizing you've messed up the question and be like, oh no. Shit, it's Mrs.
No, on the contrary, I think this is a great question.
I can't. The problem is now I'm not trying to think of a guess. I'm trying to think of any midfielder that played in this time period.
Like Ivor, you said I wasn't smart enough. I'm starting to think I'm fucking Billy Big Bollocks with this question. I've knocked it right out the park.
That's not.
If you get this now, I'm going to be spewing. I will literally be spewing.
I can't. This is what I'm saying though. The problem is I can't think of a single player. It's not even that I can't think of a guess where I'm like, oh, it could be him, it could be him. I can't think of a physical player. The only player that I've got in my head now is Chowley, which is not the
Jesus. That's not what you want. Imagine him up in Inverness. What would Chowley get up to in Inverness?
That's the problem. That clue has killed it.
What clue?
That and the famous dad. I cannot think of somebody who played for both Highland clubs, then went down south, then came up here, who also has a famous dad.
I didn't say that the dad.
Well,
was
no, a
famous. I just
footballing
said that
dad.
they played.
Yeah, footballing dad. This is bad.
Oh, dear McIver. I hate to say it, but the clock is ticking, my man.
I know. The problem is I'm just going to end up saying Kevin McKenna again. So I need to think of an actual guess of a player at that time. And also, the only other name in my head's Augustin, who's a centre-half.
Oh, Jesus.
Who, again, was not at any of the clubs and areas that you mentioned.
I would love to see what goes on in your noggin for a day.
A lot of this is just blank space. That's the problem. I'm going to go with 2016.
Go on then.
No, I literally can't even think of a name. Who was a midfielder? Right, I thought of him last week. This isn't the answer. I'm telling you now. So I don't think I could. Oh no, right. Clevery Dicamona is centre half. I don't care. Right.
What?
Nah.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, sure.
You give up?
Yeah.
Well, Daniel McIver, the correct answer was Donaldo Cowie.
No, we're never getting that in a million years.
Really?
Didn't know his dad played football at all. Didn't know his wife played football. I forgot he was.
You're joking.
I forgot he was at Inverness. I didn't know he played down south. So
Malky Mackay signed him for both Watford and Cardiff, I think. And now he's his assistant at Ross County.
I knew that.
I don't know that.
I didn't know he'd even left Scotland in his career.
Wow. Oh,
right.
There you go.
I'm definitely
knocked it right out of the ballpark. Yes.
See, this is the problem, right? See, for so much of my life, I only cared about Hearts and Newcastle. So I couldn't tell you who won the leagues for most of my life domestically. I would know it's Celtic or Rangers, but I wouldn't know who did it
years?
Until about 2017. And then I'd know. So, like, this is the problem. Unless it's Kevin McKenna level of cult hero, or like 2016 onwards, I'm knackered, man.
I'm not having that disrespect towards Donaldo. He was a cult hero.
I loved Don Cowie as well.
So did I.
Remember that Killie game where they just spent 10 years trying to find a pass and just passed it to the opposition?
Oh, iconic.
The loudest boos.
And the clip was going round. Oh.
And then he was really good. He was really good for us.
I think he was exactly what we needed at that time.
Yeah.
Not a veteran in the middle of the park, but
he got 10 Scotland caps.
Yeah. So is Scotland, I think he was called up, let's see what it says here. On October the 7th, 2009, Cowie was called up to the Scotland squad for the first time. So who would he have been playing for then? Watford, maybe? Haven't just made the move. Yeah, sorry. So it was Ross County, Inverness, Watford, Cardiff, Wigan, then Hearts. Because I thought also you might say that Don Cowie had signed from Wigan.
Well, considering I didn't know he'd played outside of Scotland,
so,
that would have been
there
hard.
You go. He made his debut in the match, a 2-0 defeat against Japan on the 10th of October 2009, like I say. Wow. Started in his second game for Scotland in a friendly against Wales at the new home of Cardiff. His first competitive start for Scotland came against Lithuania on the 6th of September 2011 in a Euro 2012 qualifier. He's 10 caps, the last of which came in 2012.
Fair play to him. I love Don Cowie.
What a player.
Sorry, I didn't know literally anything about your life apart from the fact that you played for us and Ross County.
Disappointing. But you did well in the quiz otherwise.
I'll take 3 out of 5.
That was a strong showing.
I'll take 3 out of 5. Well, hopefully we continue the strong showings on the park this week.
Nice.
See,
nice.
It's a good way to tie up. But yes, this has been episode 107. We hope you have enjoyed. If you have, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you've been watching on YouTube. If you've been listening to it, please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. It massively helps us out. We're at Perth to Paisley on all forms of social media and perthtopaisley@gmail.com if you want to fire us over an email. Adam, where can they get you on social media?
You can get me on all the socials at Adam T. Kendo. Just want to say, all the Jambos that are heading out to Istanbul, stay safe. Hope you have a wonderful time. It's a meaningless game, but I've got absolutely no doubt that you'll enjoy your holiday nonetheless. Have plenty bevies on us, and let's pray for a miracle.
I kind of forgot we were playing Istanbul on Thursday. 3:30 kickoff as well.
I have to. What is that?
I'll be at work.
I'm still at uni. It's a
Yeah.
shambles.
It's embarrassing. But next week, we'll be back to speak about the Istanbul game, the Motherwell game, and any other potentials as we preview Rangers as well. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Come on the Hearts!